Hey, what's up? It's John Samuel, and welcome to All Access. And today we have a very special guest. We got Liv Evans, who is the newest member of the Ablr team and who's helping us to launch our new workforce development program. So, welcome, Liv. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
No, I'm glad. I'm excited to, introduce you to our community and kind of talk about the work that you're doing in terms of our workforce development program,
Absolutely.
and then also talk about kind of some of your other passions out there with service animals. But kind of before we get into all those things, I'd love to just kind of hear a little bit about your background and kind of what got you into disability services and kind of
Sure.
work.
Yeah. So I went to Tulane University, where I got my bachelor's in public health and international development in 2019. And while I was there at Tulane, I would say that my interest in social innovation and creating more accessible spaces began with a fellowship that I had at the Taylor Center for Social Innovation and Design Thinking. And that really showed me how we can be creating solutions that are empathetic and human-centered, while also making positive change. So that really sparked my interest in kind of finding a path that aligned with both my desire to make positive change and my curiosities and interests. So I ended up going to get my master's of education at NC State in
Okay.
higher education
Mhm.
administration. So I knew I wanted to work with college students. I'd been so impacted by my fellowship program and other activities I did at Tulane that I wanted to help facilitate those sorts of experiences. And I found another interest in disability services because of my experience raising service dogs for Canine Companions. So I've been involved with that since my senior year of college. And it's just kind of given me such insight on the things that the disability community experiences and how I can work to be a better advocate and ally. And I became a disability services coordinator at the University of Georgia, helping students with their academic accommodations, helping them have a more accessible university experience and creating equity on that campus. And just recently, I started with Ablr, and I'm really excited to move my interest in accessibility, my interest in educational programming into something that is really innovative and making a big impact in the community that I want to serve.
Oh, I love it. There's a couple things. I mean, there's so much that you just talked about that I'm really interested. But you talked about that human-centric approach that you really found like that kind of spark that really wanted you to do. Can you talk a little bit about that? What was it about that? Because at Ablr, that's really what we're about. Is a human-centric approach to creating experiences for people with disabilities. But I'd love to kind of
Absolutely.
dig in a little on that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it began with this idea of design thinking and how we can create, use ideation and use methods for approaching problems that are really focused on the experience of the person who is impacted by that program or that product. So, design thinking started with IDEO, really talking about these design thinking methodologies for coming up with products. And the Taylor Center kind of took this idea of design thinking and combined it with social innovation, social entrepreneurship, and said, we can take this same approach in design thinking to making change in the areas that need it most. So that's really what the center was focused on. And when I was there, I actually worked on a student development program that was centered on helping students to find the intersections between their passions and their desire to make change, and allowing them to use those ideation methodologies to approach really big problems and find where their pathway can be in making change in that area.
That's awesome. So how do you think that kind of human-centric approach is, how are you bringing that to, as a project coordinator with this new, what we call the A3C course, the Digital Accessibility Training Program? How do you think you can bring that kind of background, that kind of interest into this program?
Right. So it's all about centering the consumer, right? It's about centering what can these folks learn? Where do they want to go? What kind of impact do they want to make? And then designing the program around that consumer experience so that we can make sure that we're, meeting all of our goals and objectives, but also getting these folks on the path that they want to be on. If we're not doing that, then I don't think that we're really meeting the objective of the course, which is to really help to advance these folks into a career in accessibility and digital technology.
That's awesome. So, we had our first cohort today, which I'm so
We
pumped
did.
about, which was so exciting. We had Shannon, our lead instructor, kind of, driving this whole thing, and Angus and our team, I'm just flustered by how.
What an awesome team to be part of. I'm really enjoying working with Shannon and Angus and Kim and you on making this program the best it can be. We had the whole team there this morning to
Yes.
support, which was so awesome to see. And we just have a group of really enthusiastic consumers for this first cohort. They are going to be the best pioneers because they are willing to give us feedback. They're willing to have fun with it. And we even if technical issues might come up, we already saw today, there were a couple little bumps in the road, little snags, and that's to be expected. But these consumers were resilient. They kept pushing through, and they were just really happy to be there. And I hope that continues through, when we begin the course content and moving through to their CPAC certification.
Yeah, right. I think some of the things that I got from today's session was, again, how diverse the cohort is. People of different genders, different races, different just abilities, experiences, and I think having this kind of diverse group go through it's going to give us some really great insights because it's not a one size fits all. I mean, we're trying to one size fits one almost in a way, right? We're trying to be able to create the best experience for each one of these individuals, but we're going to learn from this diverse group as our first cohort. And then also the resiliency they showed as things were difficult, right? And I often talk about one of the best things about having a disability is that we're natural problem solvers. And I think that came through today as people were, overcoming those technical challenges to continue.
Just continuing to, include a community in the disability community, a community that has been minoritized throughout history. We're also bringing in other groups. It's just kind of happening automatically that these folks have these intersectional identities
that's correct.
We're bringing into our fold.
Right. And that intersectionality is such a big piece of disabilities, right? It's not just a one, right? We're not only defined by one piece of us, but what are some of the things that we're trying to find other organizations to be mentors and speakers, but what do you think the benefit of having those, we have the technical training, but what do you think the benefits of having mentors and instructors, speakers, what do you think that adds to this kind of program?
Yeah, I mean, being new to this digital accessibility space and accessibility beyond education and beyond public service, right? I have learned even in the past 2 weeks that there are so many pathways and so many avenues that someone can go down as an accessibility professional. So in this way of like bringing in all of these folks from different areas of the field, we are opening up the consumers to all of the different options and pathways that they might have for their future as well. And it's been so enlightening to learn about the field even in the past 2 weeks and think, wow, there are so many ways that I didn't know about as someone in public service, as someone who is an educator. I didn't know that there was this whole other world out there in terms of digital accessibility and accessibility in general, not just digital. So bringing these folks in is really going to open up all of the doors that we possibly can for these folks as they move into the future of their career.
Right. And that's why, we're looking for speakers, we're looking for mentors. So if anyone's out there who's interested in sharing their experiences and kind of, providing that valuable insights to these individuals who are just starting off in their digital accessibility journey, we'd love to hear from y'all. So please do reach out to us or put it into the comments. But we really do believe that this is a big part of providing education to these the cohort members.
Huge. But it gives it that experiential piece that it might not otherwise have if we're just giving content.
Exactly right. And so, another one of your major passions is, you talked about it, is raising service animals. And can you kind of talk about what that has, like, how you got into it and kind of what that's kind of transformed with
Sure.
you? Like,
yeah. So, well, in college, I was really involved in the international development space. I was working in Latin America every summer during college, mostly in the Dominican Republic and Peru. So, I was in that space. I was really interested in service learning and serving these students who were coming on service trips and developing curriculum for them. So I was thinking, how can I translate this into a career that is perhaps, more domestic. I wanted to, I was thinking about where do I want to be. I didn't think that being international as an international resident was for me. So I was thinking, how can I translate these things that I love so much about this international development job and bring it back home. So as I was kind of exploring my different options, I was really kind of lost in finding, what can I do that makes impact? What can I do that I can, bring those skills or bring the passion for change making that I had in that job and move into other things. So right around the same time, kind of a serendipitous moment happened where there was a dog in the Tulane University service dog training and education program named Future, whose raiser had been was going to transfer to another institution, and she needed someone to finish raising Future for her. She wanted Future to stay somewhere where he was familiar, and she wasn't able to bring him to her new school.
Yeah.
So I ended up saying, hey, why not me? I've been involved, kind of tangentially with the club throughout my college career. And I said, yeah, I think I can take that on. And Future came home, and the rest is history. So, I have, at first it was about, I really wanted to find a new avenue for change making because I felt like I had lost that piece when I stopped working internationally. But it really brought me such fulfillment. It brought me community. It's challenging. I am not like a natural dog handler, I would say. Like, I find it really difficult to train dogs, and I love it for that. Like, there's always something new to learn with each and every dog. And, along the way, it didn't start as me being really passionate about the disability community and accessibility, but it developed into that very quickly. And I knew that was going to be the path I wanted to go down, was being an accessibility professional and a disability services professional.
I love it. I love it. So thank you to Future for helping with
Shout out
that.
to Future.
Shout out to Future for helping you find that kind of that mission and purpose. Because I think, purpose is such a big piece of, of what we do, right? You need to have that right purpose. And so it makes me so happy to hear that Future helped with that. And, and even talking about service animals, there's so many, I think there's what we know what we don't know, right? We don't know what we don't know, right? Like, what do you think some of those misconceptions around service animals out there? And can you kind of shed some light for people to understand what is a service animal versus a guide dog versus, the different
so service animals are defined as dogs who are specifically trained in tasks that assist someone with a disability. So service dogs, they only need to know one task. It has to be specific to mitigating functional limitations of a disability. So I can give an example where, providing general comfort, that wouldn't be a service animal task. But if a dog was trained to do deep pressure therapy to relieve the effects of an anxiety disorder, that is a task. So whereas the dog who might provide general comfort, that might be an emotional support animal. That would have rights in housing. A service animal would have that more specific task, really targeted at mitigating symptoms, mitigating functional limitations, and making the world more accessible for its handler. Guide dogs, of course, might have that very specific guiding task. They are still under that service animal category in terms of, our laws and regulations. With the ADA and the Title III that service animals fall under. And then therapy dogs are the other category. And those are dogs who might go to public places like schools or nursing homes to bring comfort to people there. And they are pets who are given special access because of the certification that they've received as a therapy dog. But they don't have public access just with their handler. They really have to be actively doing their job.
Yeah. Well, that's very cool. I thank you for kind of breaking that down, because I think there's a lot of people who just don't know what these different types of dogs and what they do and the level of training and kind of purpose that they serve, because we have a member on our team, we have Tracker, right?
We do, yes.
It's Tracker is a big part of Ablr. And, his handler Shannon, together they make an amazing team. And so we do give shout outs to Tracker for everything he does and supporting our team. And so we're excited to have you on the team now and what you do with your work with service animals and service dogs. So we're excited to for all of that's going on. So thank
Yes,
you for
yes.
that.
Sharky's going to have a little mentee come November, so we are excited for that.
Super excited. And so when we, kind of wrapping up, I want to just kind of thank you again for coming on board, and taking on this new project coordinator role, which is we joke and say, we're building the plane while flying it, right?
We
As we
are.
build out this program. And so as we wrap up, is there anything you want to, kind of, tell people or get people, how do you think people can get involved, whether it be service animals and also on the Ablr side? What do you think? What would you want people to do? What's the call to
Yeah,
action?
I mean, no matter where you're tuning in from, Canine Companions has chapters nationally where you can either volunteer or you can become a volunteer puppy raiser and get your own little pup to raise for 18 months before they go off to their professional training to get matched with someone with a disability. So you can go to canine.org and learn all about that if you're interested in learning more about Canine Companions. And for Ablr, please, 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 if you are available to be a mentor, if you would like to be a guest speaker, please reach out to us. We would be so thrilled to have you and to be talking about your journey into accessibility and being an accessibility professional. Any experience that we can share with our consumers is going to be valuable. So don't think that your experience isn't good enough. Every experience is so valuable to us in sharing with these consumers.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Liv, for sharing your story with us. Thank you for joining the team and helping to bring these career pathways for folks in our community. So thank you for that.
Of
And
course.
I do have to give a shameless plug for my book. Go check it out. It's on
Heck
Amazon
yeah.
right now. Don't ask the blind guy for directions. Please go to Amazon, pre-order it, push that pre-order button, go get it. And so thank you for that. And of course, we got to give a shout out to Annie for always making this possible. Thank you, Annie and the Walk West team. And with that, we will see you in a couple of weeks. And happy National Disability Employment Awareness Month. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Liv.
Bye.
Bye.